We are live. Never done this before. And as I'm clicking this go live button, I realize that I'm not very important on YouTube, which means I don't have anyone who's actually probably going to watch this, which means I probably should have prepared some content to talk about before before maybe someone logs in. Maybe I'll do the 2-minute boiler point on who we are, what I do, how I got in this scheme of things. So I started a company called Quiverr about 4 years ago, so 2014. I was working at a digital agency at the time called Elevated, and I was working there as a client manager. And prior to that, I had a little bit of experience selling stuff on Amazon, and it started literally about 10 years ago. So about 2008, my fiance at the time came home with a textbook, handed it to me, and said, "You look a little bit unemployed right now. Why don't you try to sell this on Amazon like one of my girlfriends did?" I said, "Of course, I'm a man. I can sell this on Amazon." And so I went ahead and listed it and threw it up there and didn't really think anything of it. About 15 minutes later, I got an email that it had sold for $50, which was awesome because I didn't have to pay anything for it. Of course, I gave her the money. But anyway, so I was at her parents' house at the time, and I looked around, and they had bookshelves full of stuff. And I listed all their books, went to bed. It sold off half their book collection in the morning, and was like, maybe there's something to this. And so I ended up partnering with a library, and the sweetest little old lady, she couldn't keep up with the donations at the library. So I would take them, list them on Amazon, and in exchange, give her some money back. And I had a threshold. I had to make at least, I think it was 50 cents per book after shipping, because that was about a third of a burrito. So I had like a burrito quota that I had to hit. And sort of just collected a book collection that way. And then the Kindle came out, and I thought that was sort of my asteroid, and I needed to get out of books and sell something else. And so I started looking really into sort of the, sourcing products, selling it on Amazon, not my own products, but just anything I can get my hands on. And so I sort of learned the side of selling on Amazon that most brands don't like people selling their products through. So like the sort of rogue 3P selling. So anyway, fast forward, I get to this agency, and there's these clients coming in, and they're asking, how to do SEO and pay-per-click and web development. I'm asking them, why aren't you paying attention to Amazon? And, 5 years ago, Amazon was a trigger word, dirty word. And most of the time they did not want to pay attention to the channel. So we set up a model where we would actually buy and sell their product on their behalf. And in exchange for that, we'd make money, and we'd reinvest our time into value-added services. So updating content so that it's optimized. We do the things that agency had done, but we do it on Amazon. And it was still fairly new back in the day to be doing these types of things on Amazon. But ultimately, it was a decent model. And so we realized that, optimizing titles, had an influence on search position because you would get more sales. And so, starting, like I said, about 5 years ago, we went into that model. We also realized it was a lot of work to buy and sell, other brands' products that had been on the marketplace for a long time. The listings took more effort to clean up. There were rogue third-party sellers, which we were helping out with. And so we knew that there was a lot of good data on the marketplace, and if we could do something with that data, we might be able to make a buck or two. So we started looking into sort of trend analysis and spotting what was coming. We'd go to the things that were the best sellers and look at, what they weren't doing, or maybe look at the negative reviews and what they weren't fulfilling. And so we did launch, a handful of our own products under that model. And I think the key to that is my phone is getting a notification. I think the key to that was, we launched products. We never really focused on launching brands. And so as our businesses scaled, we sort of grew both of those entities, but the ultimate side of our business of us helping brands sell more products on Amazon scaled quicker. So we still have our own products today. There's a handful of them, probably like 7 to 10. We like to use those as a little bit of a sandbox. Where we can test things out and be a little bit more aggressive and not really have a risk of losing a client over what we're trying over there because it's our own product, and if we screw up, it's sort of on us. But ultimately, the piece of helping brands on Amazon scaled a lot quicker, and so we ultimately doubled down on that. Grew that business. We got invited into Amazon's Platinum program, so we're a top tier seller for Amazon now, and wow, this is a really like self-glorifying. I wish people would just log in so I could answer questions and not have to talk about ourselves. I'm wondering if this is going to end and it's going to ask me anything, and actually nobody asked me anything. It should be like ask me anything with a question mark, like if anyone actually wants to talk about this. Anyway, so we continue to grow our business. We now work with some of the biggest CPG organizations in the world. Component which we were a part of is also the piece that creates competition for the CPGs. And while we were doing products in the kitchen and baby space and nothing too competitive to CPG, it's interesting because we sort of know the tactics and are now working with the bigger entities to try to combat against some of those tactics. Because if you power a good Amazon strategy with the brand equity that some of these larger organizations have, you can realize results a lot quicker. So that's pretty cool. 6 minutes in, look at this. Nobody here. Should probably be a good check to my ego. It keeps going on like this. I'm gonna give it 10 minutes. So I got 4 more minutes. And if for some reason you're still watching this, I don't know. You're probably like my wife or my mom. Anyway, the fascinating thing about sort of the evolving nature of Amazon is just where the competition can come from. So you've got these private label people jumping in. I would say 3 to 5 years ago, it was very easy to just launch a product, put it on the marketplace, and start getting sales because there was not a lot of competition there. As more knowledge has been put out there about the successes that people have had within that model, there's a lot more people doing it. And not only is that more private label sellers, you've got more people from China coming in direct. So the manufacturer is now going direct to the consumer. And you even have brands now starting to pay attention to these sort of like, maybe I should launch a product in that space, like just a sort of onesie twosie, like let me get in and put my brand on it. I mean, look at MCT oil, all the brands that sort of, you had Bulletproof sort of create that demand. You had all the private label guys jump into it. And now you've got the mass brands saying, well, let's do some MCT oil. With that, you have these sort of places that you can compete, right? So you can compete on the product listing level. So you can make your images look good. You can make your content look nice, but pretty much everybody can do that. The next place that you can compete on is your price point. So you can go very quickly see, typically the private label seller is going to have different margin requirements than a larger organization. And because of that, maybe they're going to work from a smaller margin perspective. So that will sort of bring the prices down. Or if you've got a major brand jumping into sort of a niche type category and they already have the supply chain built out, they've got the relationships with the manufacturer, they might be able to come in and beat the price down. And so if you look at Amazon and what it's evolved to, it's become a bit of a commodity marketplace. So over time, the product that has the best reviews at the lowest price is the one that's typically selling the best. And so once we sort of get to that ground of like, here's the price it's kind of probably going to be at, here's the amount of reviews that you're going to need, you then say, what do I do to get into that category? And so people start jumping into the advertising front. And if you've looked at the cost of advertising on Amazon, while it's still good compared to the other channels, Google or Facebook, it is getting more expensive. And it's a combination of private label people jumping into it and trying to create more products. It also, a big driver is these bigger entities realizing that maybe I should be spending my dollars on Amazon versus Facebook or Google, or at least shifting some of my budget over there. And with that, they're engaging with maybe more of a traditional agency that is more focused on Google or, other channels. And they're saying, hey, we're going to be shifting this budget over. And that agency says, well, we know how to do Amazon, whether or not they actually do. And that's not to say that there haven't been agencies that have successfully, sort of moved over from, Google over to running Amazon ads. But they may not be as sort of sophisticated from a bidding perspective and from an ROI perspective. And so they're sort of just, we've seen in just categories where you've got these brands that are just firebombing the categories and just increasing the bid prices and, trying to sort of stake their claim and take their market. And, it's not a bad strategy. Amazon is a momentum model. So the more momentum you can build for a product listing, the more visibility it's going to get within the marketplace, the more sales it's going to get. And so if you can sort of front load it with a bunch of spend, you can ride that wave for quite a while, until someone else comes in and tries to sort of knock you off. So all sorts of crazy stuff happening. That's the 10-minute mark. I've been ranting and raving for 10 minutes. Nobody came to see me, but I'll keep trying. I promise. And if you have questions, you can post them in the comments, and maybe I'll do an Ask Me Anything, but I won't do it. Maybe it's like Ask Me Anything today, and I will answer that tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. I hope you have a wonderful day. I don't actually know how to stop this live chat. Oh, there's an end stream button right there. And, make it a good one. See ya.